Another episode of the Make Mental Health Matter show. I am your host, Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, and with every episode, I'm excited for my guests, but really being back in studio in person is always way more fun than doing it on virtual. Not that that's not good, But anyways, I really am excited for my guests today and really understanding how we can have hard conversations more centered around relationships and potential abuse and really talking about how we can help ourselves and how we can help others. And I know I do go into generals when I have the talk at first, but that's because you'll find out more information about my guest. So without further ado, because she's sitting right next to me, let me introduce. So Shanella, did I say that right?
Yes.
Shanella. Awesome. Shanella Harris is a survivor of domestic abuse. Just in November of 2024, she was released from the Denver Women's Correctional Facility from a 10-year domestic violence sentence that crushed her world. She has medical career and her chance to mother her newborn child. She is now rebuilding herself and is the owner of Guided Step LLC. She has now refocused and dedicated her life to helping women by encouraging them to see their own strength and extends a helping hand to guide them to their safe space. So, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Kelli, for having me today. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yes. So, I know that's a pretty heavy intro.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell the audience a little bit more about your story?
Yes. So as Kelli was saying, I would say recently, I feel like, just a year ago in terms, you can almost say April of this year, I was released from Denver Women's Correctional Facility. I was in a marriage for 4 years, and the entire 4 years it was abusive. It was all the abusive things, the emotional side of it, the physical aspects of it. And so, I stayed, and then it got worse, right? And so one day we had a hash out, and I end up getting arrested for the fight that we were having that day. And it turned everything around. And I have a new perspective about staying in those abusive relationships, because the court system does not see victim all the time. If you're not reporting it, if you're not doing your part to let it be known that you're the victim, you can very well become the person behind handcuffs for 10 years. Wow. So yes, and like I said, as you mentioned, like I said, that changed my life because I ended up having my first child in prison. So that was heavy. And then when I got out, I had to figure out life all over again. I used to do radiology work, giving back to the community, and now I'm like unable to do that currently. My case is still actively going. I'm still pursuing for some type of justice in the system. But as life goes, it doesn't wait for that to happen. You still have to keep going. And so as I've been in prison, I've lived in the community, like I said, 10 years. I've learned and loved on the women who's been in there. Mm-hmm. And I loved and learned on myself, most importantly, to regroup who I am and who I want to be, who I want to project back into the community on my reentry. And I'm here to just say, I've started Guided Steps, and it gives me a good feeling of like, this is my calling. This is what I can give back. This is to prevent the next person, the next woman, anyone from going through what I've went through, because it, like I said, it rocked my world. It really did.
Yeah. Well, so did you go in, you were pregnant during the time when you went in?
Yes. Okay. I was 2 weeks pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So, oh gosh, the whole 9 months in county, it was horrible, throwing up on the floors, morning sickness. Oh God, it was a rough pregnancy. Grateful for it because children are beautiful. Children are amazing. But if I could have picked a different situation,
yeah,
maybe yes, I would have.
Yeah. So you spent 10 years in prison,
yes.
And it was I guess the question for me was, your partner, did they also go to jail, or what happened with that situation?
They did not.
Okay.
They did not. Reason being, and I mean, I guess I could say reason being from my perspective.
Yes.
When it happened, the incident, it was more so I didn't want to disclose the truth to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've never did that. Like, I never called the cops. I've never fought back in the situation. I always just took the blows and just, regrouped myself and kept going and made the excuses like, oh, it'll get better. They didn't have mental health problems and all the things I kept covering up for my partner at that time. I didn't think at that time when the cops was asking me what happened that they would turn it around and make me out to be the person who like started it and who aggressed it and who should have been the person getting recommended for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that was going to happen, and it happened. And so I'm up here covering for the person like, oh no, I don't know how, like I said, it was serious. Guns and knives are all involved. So I was like, oh, I don't know how I got stabbed. I don't know how this happened. So when it came out to it, I ended up in handcuffs because I didn't disclose enough information. So somebody had to go to jail, and they chose me because I kept my mouth closed. And that was my first mistake.
Oh my gosh. And so, wow, I'm like, how, well, I'm sure there's a lot of layers here, right?
So
because I'm like, I know when, especially in Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's a call for domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
one person at least goes, if not both.
Yes.
And I have had many women on the show who have experienced
Mm-hmm.
Partner violence, and it's that I don't want to tell anybody. One, you're not really sure what's going to happen to that person that you just stayed with, but also it's kind of a little bit of shameful and not really like the confidence at that moment, especially, I mean, when you're in an extended relationship with abuse, it just tries on your confidence.
Right.
And my brain is like, how do you go from this moment to 10 years?
Yes. In the blink of an eye. I literally that day, I remember it was like August 20th of 2017. I was cooking dinner and it just escalated until I never walked back into that house again after that. Like, I never was able to like get my stuff and get the things that I had planted and we had seeded into the house. It was over with after that day. So it was a turning point for me. My whole, like I said, the whole life, my career that I went to school for, all that, it exploded on me that day. And so, yeah, I had to rebuild myself. And as you mentioned, confidence is a key factor, right? Because my self-confidence was just small, non-existent, to the point of I just took anything and I allowed anything. And, I have healthy boundaries. I didn't know how to communicate myself. I allowed the basic signs of domestic abuse to occur to me, which is like isolation. Because I'm not from Colorado. I've never, only came here with my partner because this is what they wanted to do, right? Yeah. So I'm from Louisiana, to be exact. So I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any family. It was just me. Like, this is your life. Make the best of it, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And wow. I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I know that obviously, like, the incident that happened was like a very big incident.
Yes.
And then, I mean, you had to go on trial and all the things, and I'm assuming again, that this individual was lying about what happened ultimately to get you a sentence of 10 years.
Yes. And so it ended up being, from me knowing the person, right? It's one of those things where, cliche to say, if I can't have you, nobody can, right? Because when the incident happened, we knew that was a breaking point. Like, it was no return to that. One, it wasn't publicized like in the news or anything, but it was so big that, of course, my family was involved. I had to get bailed out of jail from family all the way in Louisiana. I had to come out here, and make sure that I was okay and able to, like, regroup. I couldn't even leave the state of Colorado. I had an ankle monitor on. I was homeless for like a week. And then luckily, God bless this lady. She took me into her home. And so it was just like a cascade of things that we knew we could not turn back on. And so the relationship could never return. It was an end all. And so yes, the lies did come up in court because it was a vindictive point at this point. It wasn't like, oh, she go her way, I go my way, amicably. It was not that at all. I mean, the person was showing up to court with crutches and like things that just, the lies about the whole situation. And I end up hiring a private attorney for my case. And you think private attorneys are great, and that backfired on me so far because being that the marriage was same sex, it was definitely judged. It was definitely on the area of, did it even happen? It's two women. Everyone's so used to it being a man, woman, the woman's the victim, the man's the person. But when you get two women involved, now that didn't happen. That you probably did that stuff to, and why did you stay? Y'all got the same, well, not same build, but same body part, same, of course, women got the same strength, of course, they put it on that same level. And so it just, like you said, it's layers. There's so many layers to it. Gosh, I don't even know where I was going with this.
Right. Well, I'm glad that I didn't make the assumption that it was male, female. And I try not to ever, especially when I don't know the whole situation or story, right? But that adds even another level, right? Because then it is well, why can't you defend yourself? Like, we go into these judgments of people of like, well, how is she stronger than you are? Or right, which never should be part of the conversation, but it does, and it happens. And then knowing that you're in this situation that now you're facing time due to this one moment that you decided to finally fight back.
Right.
Ugh, that makes me sick. I'm sorry.
I've had plenty sleepless nights over that. Like, going back and forth. Like, if I could have why didn't I just take that lick that day? Why didn't I fight back? Like, why did you just react that way? I've replayed it thousands of times. So, my mental health was definitely involved in it. And truthfully, it starts with mental health. Like, it definitely does. Because, like you said, two women, body structures, it shouldn't have been like that. But if my mental health wasn't as strong as it was, it should have been stronger. So I shouldn't have put myself and allowed myself to sit and fester in that relationship for so long. I feel like I would have had the strength or knowledge or courage to get myself out of that safer than what I did.
Yeah, but I think I also what I call the shoulda, coulda, woulda, hoodoo, voodoo, we-doos.
Exactly.
That's what I'm like. I should have done this. I could have done this. But the thing is that we don't really fully understand until we're outside of that moment. And whatever we brought in and whatever they brought in, right? We don't know any of that. We know, though, once we're outside of these relationships, you're like, oh my gosh, who is that person that stayed that long? And I have also had women that once they step out of the relationship, and then women that also have been or gone to prison, more specifically for like substance use or something of that nature, right? They're like, that saved my life. Like, truly, and not that anybody would ever want to go to jail or prison by any means, but sometimes that break in a way saves your life, and you're able to start healing and realizing like who you are today, which it seems like you're much more confident and powerful where you are at this moment in your life.
Yes, I agree. That is a strong point right there. That separation from the hassle and busyness of the world to actually really dig into who you are, it was important. Like, if I didn't have that, I'd probably still be continuing that cycle. I'd probably still be in that marriage or in another relationship with the same outcome. So it wasn't until I had that long time period of sit down, isolation, to look at myself and figure out me. right? And take that other person and what they were doing out the picture and look at just solely myself. Realize that, yeah, I did have low self-esteem and I was a people pleaser. And I did the facade thing of like, oh, post pretty pictures and my life is good. And, look at the vacation we just took. It was great. And we was not. So, or at least let's say I was not great. Right? Can't speak for the other person. But that was definitely a good thing that I went through almost, I'm to a certain extent, I am grateful for that, to rebuild myself. And I've heard of that so many times in there. Because while incarcerated, different women's helped create a program called Women of Influence. And so that program was all about mentorship and leadership in your community, whether you want to be a leader inside of there or inside of your home, outside in society. It built you up, right? But it was always about looking back in to repair, to become better.
I love that. And I have some questions popping in my head, but we're going to go to our first quick sponsored break.
Okay.
And then once we get back, I will ask those questions. So we'll be right back after this quick sponsored break.
Have you ever felt completely alone?
Like your life doesn't matter.
One person dies due to suicide every 40 seconds.
You are not alone. Call the National Suicide Lifeline at 988.
Hope and recovery is possible.
1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder.
That's why empowering minds saves lives.
We need your help.
With only $19 a month, you help us save lives through mental health and suicide prevention education.
Scan the QR code or go to makementalhealthmatter.org to sign up as a warrior for mental health today.
And like that, we're back. If you happen to be just tuning in to the Make Mental Health Matter show, thank you so much for watching or listening. Make sure you go back to the beginning of this and check it out. But my guest and I, Shanella. Okay, I was like, I missed a letter there. We are talking about her story with I had a woman on that calls it intimate partner violence. That's how she says it. Instead of domestic violence, she calls it intimate partner violence.
Okay.
And we had a whole conversation. She works for a nonprofit, the Crisis Center. They're rebranding. I don't know what their new name is, but we were talking about how the patterns, not really patterns, but when we go into relationships and we end up staying in these relationships for an extended period of time, knowing that what is happening is not okay, right? And you talked about those extremes of like stabbing, and that's a lot of violence that I couldn't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like now that you have had that time, looking back on the situation, because I don't think anybody really understands unless they are in those situations, because I can be really easy to judge and say, well, just get out of it, right? Like, why aren't you just leave? Like, why is it that challenging? So I'm curious, for those people that don't quite understand, how could you best explain to them?
Of why stay, right?
Yeah.
Or how do you end up staying so long? So for me, I've analyzed this in so many different layers, because I'm like, why did you stay? Well, originally you think, you make excuses, right, for that person and for yourself. Like, oh, I'm staying because I love this person. I'm staying because if I stay, I can help this person. We can overcome these challenges and these milestones, right? Like, first question, like, did I die? No, I'm alive. I'm fine. Like the first punch, the first black eye, the first butt slip. Like, oh, it's okay. We're gonna make it through this, and it's always the overshadow of apologies, and this won't happen again. And you believe this person because you love this person, and it's almost night and day. Because because this person was amazing to
Mm.
everyone, right? Good person, good mentor to people, loved children, worked in the hospital. Like we were giving back to the community. And our good days were beautiful. Like we
Mm.
traveled the world together. We got to see everything that I never thought I would see. Like been to Paris, Aruba, Dominican Republic. We took beautiful vacations. But honestly, each vacation was assembled with a punch, a kick, or something that was just abusive in that manner. It was to cover it up. So the gratitude and then the abuse, it just kind of seesawed
Mm.
in my mind until it exploded, right? And then you just couldn't back out of it. It was like a no forward in that. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I guess it's interesting because
Mhm.
people again are so easy to judge
Mhm.
situations. And I think that everybody, well, not that I think, I know everybody experiences situations differently. You and I could be
Mhm.
in the like the same exact situation,
Right.
and I'd take something different than you take out of it,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And then you also kind of go back even to the abuser or the perpetrator or whatever we want to call, right? And then you start thinking about, well, why do they do this?
Mhm.
And then starting to like dive into their history and like, where does this come from? But I know that they are a good person, and looking at those glimpses of hope of like, well, maybe they can change, or maybe I can help them change,
Yes.
or right. And I think I'm very much a caregiver and a helper myself too. And I'm like, well, I've seen some changes happening.
Mm.
I know that it's possible, right? But then it still reverts back to a lot of the same behaviors. So I don't think that anybody should be judging by any means. You're not in the relationship and you don't know what is going through the head of either person. I also believe that even in intimate partner violence, domestic violence, whatever you want to call it, there may not be enough resources out there. And I don't know if that's an experience that you've had.
You know, since I've like started um, my LLC for Guided Steps, that's exactly what it is.
Mm.
It's supposed to be a resource hub for people, survivors of domestic violence. And so it's just because when I went through the first initial being booked, going through the homelessness, I didn't have help. I didn't, I'm calling hotlines, I'm calling this. I'm like, I need a place to stay. I don't know where to go. I can't leave the state. Like, what can I do?
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's really an overwhelming population in that. So the resources are scarce. It's not enough things out there to help you. So I'm one, and then of course, my hate is calling all these separate numbers. Right?
Right.
I'm like, I'm holding 20 minutes here. I'm just trying to talk to someone here, and I'm just like, I'm not getting anywhere. My nerves are bad already from the situation. I'm frustrated. And so you shut down and you don't proceed. And so for me, that is my goal, is to have something just all in one, like the therapy, the resources, the shelter, the financial help, all in one area. So it's a one-stop shop that I can just completely just release into and rebuild in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, just for my nonprofit,
Mhm.
like we are building a trusted resource hub
Yeah.
for that very reason of
Yes.
like, when I have somebody coming to me in crisis, I'm calling all these places or trying to reach this or this or this, right? And I'm like, why can't I have it just at one place, like at my fingertips?
Mhm.
But the other part, at least for us, is it's trusted resources, right?
Mhm.
Like those are really important to me, making sure that they're helpful and not hurtful,
Correct.
making sure that you're actually giving them the right information or not, right? Because I also know that in intimate partner violence, a lot of the numbers are not accessible for the reason of the privacy.
Mhm.
And so sometimes, and the facilities where you go are really hard to find, but there's a reason that it is why it is. So I love that you have created something that is going to be beneficial, not only, I'm sure, to just Colorado, but probably, I'm assuming you're going to eventually go nationwide.
That is the goal. That is the vision, nationwide, global, whatever it is, because it's everywhere, right? It's not just United States, it's all across the globe, unfortunately. And it just one person at a time. If I could, I will.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I have another question popping up, but we have to go to our last quick sponsor break. Okay. So once we get back from this, I'll ask you that question. We'll be right back.
1,917 people die daily from suicide globally.
I lost my middle sister, Carrie, to a completed suicide on February 20th, 2017.
How does Kelli, host of the Make Mental Health Matter show, impact lives?
Number 1. Awareness.
My story, however, it isn't unique. I am a domestic violence survivor and a recovering addict. For 14 years, I was in active addiction. And because of Kelli and the work that she does and the opportunity to have my voice heard, I was able to stay clean and sober and have hit a year. I'm still here. And if it wasn't for Kelli answering my call the day that I thought I was going to take my life.
2. Conversation.
I'm curious, and I know that I've heard a lot in the BIPOC community. It is very hush-hush. It's like one of those things that you don't talk about. Like, you literally feel like it's not a conversation you can have. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
First, shout out to Kelli, because I'm glad that she asked the question. I researched you before I went on your show, and I saw how real and authentic you were. And I just appreciate the question, because it is different and we have to have tough, courageous conversations. So yes, I always say I'm a triple diversity threat. I'm a Black woman with multiple disabilities. Now, I'm not really a threat, but to other people, I may be, because people fear the unknown and what they're uncomfortable with.
Number 3. Education.
Kelli's passionate commitment to mental health awareness is a beautiful thing. It's clear in her social media posts, it's clear in the resources that she puts together, in the activities that she provides, her collaboration with organizations, and the consistent way that she continues to deliver a message, encouraging people to understand that they can share openly and to break the stigma around mental health. Kelli's topics cover children and adults, talk about things that we can do as a community, things that we can do individually, and her website is packed with information and resources and all kinds of contacts that you can use to reach out, whether you're dealing with something yourself or you're looking to help somebody else who is struggling. I encourage you to check it out.
And like that, we're back again. Again, if you're happening to just tune into the Make Mental Health Matter show, thank you so much for watching or listening. But you just missed the whole half of this, so make sure you go back and watch the rest. So we have been chatting about the experience in prison and intimate partner violence, also just understanding why somebody would stay in a relationship like that, but also kind of society and the judgment, and also resources as related to domestic violence and partner or intimate partner violence. It is challenging. You have the navigation and you're trying to call all these people, and not everybody has information that they can give you, right? We were kind of chatting a little bit offline, but the prison that you went into, you said it was max security.
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm just wanting to kind of like connect the dots again of like, you were the one that went to jail, and then we had a lot of like lies ultimately that got you into this place. And so were they like, you're violent, you're going here?
Yes. And I was pregnant. So, of course, it was the violence that really got me to the maximum security. It was not just the pregnancy. So how it worked is they do a scale of like, oh, it's violent. It was with assault with a deadly weapon is the charge that I had. And so when you get in there, you lose everything about yourself, right? They don't care that this is my first time being arrested. This is my first charge in life. They don't care. I used to work in the medical field and help save lives. They don't care nothing about that. You get your number, you get your orange jumpsuit, and they do put you through a shower. That it was real. I didn't know nothing about it, right? So I'm just terrified. I'm terrified the whole time, walking through the process. Don't know who to talk to. Don't know who to trust. You the new gal in a system, and you have to figure it out. And I thank God I was able to figure out. God bless me. He walked me through it, and I learned what should have been a horrible experience into a good one. I made good friends in there. You learn people after people. People tutor, get GEDs, and start programs. And I've talked to like the COs and their correction officers, and helped them see a new light in people in there. I've been told that, like, how did you get here? Your temperament ain't the same. Like, you don't look like you belong here. And I'm like,
because I don't.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I could put up a sign and say innocent all day long, but somebody have to believe me, and hopefully, a person getting to know me, and I continue to hold on to my true character inside that I've always wanted to expose. It helped some type of way. It helped people in there say I don't have to be, I'm gonna say the A word to people to show that I'm hard. I could still be nice and kind to people just because we're in this situation.
Wow.
Yeah. It like the culture inside of prison is it's not what you read. It's not what you see on TV. It's what you make it, really. So people had hard times in it. I done seen people get hurt. I done seen people die. I done seen people, the worst. But I done seen people really grow in there and change in there and, be kind in there and grow up. I've seen people like in there at 18 years old, and they're growing up and they're looking for moms and cousins and family in there. And sometimes they get that in a good way.
So obviously you had your child, and then what happens after that? Do they like go with family members, or do they set you up at least to like be able to support them for a little bit, or how does that work?
So, when I had her in 2019, the rules have changed since then, thank God. And I think I was part of that because I had wrote my report and what happened. And, I complained the whole way through because I was mad about it. Because when I had her, you're literally handcuffed to like the bed. They think you are an escape route. This is supposed to be a moment of joy and like love. And they're like, you get 2 hours with this baby and we're taking her from you. Hopefully your family's out here to get her, or she might end up in like the system.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't tell you what's about to happen. Like my birth was induced. And so, and I didn't even know it was being induced. I didn't know I had complications. They don't tell you nothing.
Wow.
So you just go into these doctor's appointments. You're like, am I okay? Is the baby okay? They're like, yeah, great, good. And you don't have a choice. I don't have assets to look up my records and say, I'm preeclampsia or diabetes is happening. So I didn't know none of that stuff.
Wow.
And so literally the day I had my baby, they call you down to the area of intake to escort you to the hospital. And the CO there was so excited to read my chart. She's like, you're having a baby today. And I'm like,
I am?
No, I'm not.
Right? Yeah.
My whole baby's like, no, I'm not. I'm not ready. I didn't tell my family to get the plane tickets to fly out here to get my daughter. So no one's in the state of Colorado. Yeah. No one's prepared. Because I wasn't due for a month later.
Oh, wow.
And so they were saying, yeah, you are. So I had a brief conversation with the midwife. Wow. And we went and had the baby, basically. And so my family got out here within the next 2 days, and they got my daughter, and I was grateful for that. I was grateful. But I've literally, in the rest of the time spirit, seen her 3 times.
Okay.
In person.
Okay.
They had like a system called Emilio visits where you could FaceTime your family and stuff. So that was our main route of communication to keep the mother-daughter connection going as good as possible. And so grateful for that, because that has not always been there. The women before me Didn't have that. So I
Wow.
just took it as like, thank you for this, thank you for that. Just gratitude over gratitude for situations because it could have been worse.
Yeah, definitely. And so does your family still, they raised her and she's still with them? And
No.
no? Okay. Okay.
I got out of prison in November of 2024. I got out the halfway house in April. I went and picked my daughter up in July. I was like, give me back my baby.
Okay.
I worked hard. I was in there. I was able to, I stayed focused. Like I didn't let the environment, like I said, the environment can change you. I stayed focused. I got a job in there. I saved money in there. I came out, was able to house and car and got my daughter back. And, luckily I have a good job now and rebuilding. It's not my career job I wanted, but it's definitely blocks and stepping stones to get where you want to be in life.
Awesome. So you have custody of her currently. That's amazing. Yay.
Yeah.
And then what was the question that popped into my head? There was something around that, but maybe it'll come back.
Okay.
Was it your partners? Like, were you guys trying to get pregnant or like?
Ooh, no.
I'm like,
it's
what is
layers.
that?
That's right.
Yes.
It's layers. Yes. So here's the thing with that. My daughter is not for my partner.
Okay.
We were trying to get pregnant for the it was 4 years. So the last 2 years we tried. We did the ICI, the fertility pills, and nothing would take.
Gotcha.
The inseminations, nothing. And I'm grateful because I probably had never seen my daughter again.
Yeah.
But out of that, like when I was waiting on bond for my case and trials to hit, it was a 2-year period, and I did meet somebody else. And I thought I wasn't going to jail. I didn't think that was possible. I'm like, oh, the truth would come out. We'll be fine. No, it was not like that. So it was literally one day of trial. Trial lasted 3 days, but the last day, I just knew at that day, I was like, I'm not leaving here. Like I was back in Louisiana for the last 2 years too.
Oh, wow.
I left when they let me off. I was out there, living my life. I was reestablishing love and doing it like what I thought was the right way, right? Like set your boundaries, stay healthy, focus, and that probably wasn't right either because I definitely wasn't healed.
Oh.
I wasn't healed yet. I needed time, but I didn't take the time. I was just moving with the world, right? Just kept moving and not focusing like I should have. But my daughter came.
All right. Yeah, lots of layers. I'm like, maybe I'll have to come back. But so now you're shifting, right? So you got out, you created a program in prison. So tell a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so the prison I actually created it with someone. She's still in there, unfortunately. Just praying that she does get released. But the name of the program is called Women of Influence, right? And it's exactly what it is. It's women influencing women. And it is just because it's women. They are men involved because now is a co-ed type of thing happening in there.
Okay.
It's a little bit different inside the walls. But all people are welcomed. And if you feel like you have leadership skills or you want to develop your leadership skills, it's a way of cycling you giving back, right? So it's like a 3-year program. So it starts off with you being a mentee. You're learning yourself. It's like classes on communication, self-identity, self-esteem, relationships. It's also about justice and how to say pardon yourself and the victim. And, it's so beautiful because you get the people from outside the community, outside the prison community, free people to come in and talk to you and like lift you up and get that connection still that you're still connected with society.
Yeah.
And it just builds you up. And so you take these classes and then you move on to the next segment, which is the next year you become a alumni. So as an alumni, you're learning how to become the mentor, which is the 3rd year. So you're shadowing people, you're talking to people and getting your self-esteem up to lead the classes. In your last year as a mentor, you're teaching what you learned in the 3rd year. So it's like I said, it's helpful. I know it helped me build my self-esteem up first off and learn the community, right? And I start seeing people for who they are. The vulnerability that you get from these ladies of talking about their worst day, right? Because we do get to talk about what happened. Right?
Yeah.
We give them the platform to do that.
That's amazing. I mean, and it's again, you're taking this situation that happened, right? And not just living there, knowing that you learned a lot from that relationship, but then moving into the unfortunate that you did go to prison and then taking that experience and changing lives. Like, legit, I mean, like I said, I've had multiple women on the show that have gone to prison, and that for me, like, that scares the crap out of me, which I'm sure it did you too, right? But knowing that there is also this space, especially in Colorado, and we have there's another organization that has been on the show that they help with like resume building and all the things to prep you to get out of or when you return back to society. And I just think it's really cool how we're starting to bring in that education because there's a lot of money that, right, that goes into prisons, that goes into jails, that goes into the justice system that I believe that we're not doing justice for the people that are in there, because oftentimes there is a mental health challenge component to it that we're not really talking about. And so if we're not giving them the services or the ability to be a human, right, then we're not changing anything. And that's where we have the repeat offenders, the people that do get out and then go back and then get out and go back. But that's because they don't know how to function in society, right? And I just think it's really cool how you created this program. You are utilizing surveys to figure out what is going to be helpful and understanding how did you get here, right? And sometimes there are people that are unfortunately in there that they shouldn't be in there, but how can you use this space to like make a difference? And I think that's so cool. Also, mutual friends that are helping with that program. And I'll be going in as a speaker, which I was telling you earlier, but I'm excited because I have always, or I try to just look at people as humans, right? I don't try to figure out like why they are I guess I try to figure out why they are the way that they are or how they got into certain situations. But I think that that's what I love now is having these conversations of like, let me understand a little bit better and not judge anybody, because we're so easy to judge and I don't know unless I know, right? So I think that's cool that we're not just saying they should always be in prison and just taking it as face value. Now programs are being created to actually help people so that they can, when they are able to get out, they are rehabilitated or whatever you want to call that, right? I hate the word rehabilitated. I don't know why. I'm like, they're humans. Like, we change, and there are ways that we can change. There's also some people that don't change. Like, I understand that aspect too, but then there are people that and like thriving, which I love that you are in that space.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that's so true.
So I know we're coming up, well, we have about 5 minutes or so. But I know that you are really trying to launch this resource hub. So tell the audience a little bit more about that, and like, what are the things that you need help with, or what does that look like as part of the community that's listening or watching? Like, how can they support you in that?
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you how it started, and it started in 2020. I was obviously locked up at that time, and I remember I woke up wee hours in the night, and with all I can hear is guided steps. It was a voice, right? So I'm just like, guided steps. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I felt it was an assignment, right? I'm like, I'm going to do that. And while I was incarcerated, I wrote the business plan. I wrote it out, and it was not for domestic violence at all. It was originally supposed to be a transitional home for people walking out of prison or a bad situation into life, but it was mostly focused on incarceration. because that's where I was. It's my heart, and I seen the need. And so when I got out of prison, it changed completely because I started talking to women. Currently, I have a best friend who's going through something so crazy, going through the court system. She's facing time, and she was literally the victim, and she can prove it. And it's just, I just don't understand how it keeps happening. And I'm like, this is something I want to do. I have to do this. And so I honed it in on that, and it feels good. It feels right. And my heart feels light about it every time I work on it. I'm talking to people about it. So I'm like, yeah, check mark that this is it. So what I'm doing now currently for Guided Steps, is the name of it, is talking to people like you, talking to people, getting myself out there to see what is the need, because I didn't call and get resources in my moments, and I know why, but why doesn't everyone else do it too, right? I'm just one. I want to know why. Why aren't people doing this? If you know, can I say something real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
So feedback. I want feedback from the audience. Like, if you don't mind, could you email me and tell me why, and what is the holdup, or what's stopping your situation, or someone you might know, what's stopping their situation from reaching out. The email is guided steps resources@gmail.com. I'm just taking an email, taking feedback, because as I'm building Guided Steps, I want to make sure I'm hitting all areas to really be that hub of everything that you need. I want to do the shelter. I want to do the finances. Anything you need, tell me so I can look into it and get that in there. If I don't know how to get it, I'm going to have a partnership with someone to get that in there.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah,
I mean, I know, and we're kind of talking about that too, is like resource hubs can be somewhat challenging to like keep it all up to date and whatnot, but like you also know what the need or part of the need, right? Like what you needed at that moment. And I think even there's like an advocacy portion that I'm like feeling that needs to happen. Like, I know there are victim advocates, but do enough people know about those? Also inside Colorado, we have like crisis teams that will go out with when 911 is called, right? But not a lot of people know about it. And sometimes they're called mobile mental health crisis teams. Sometimes they're just called advocates, but there's not enough of them. Most of them are volunteer. But that's a key component that I feel like might be missing, is like that victim advocate. Like, because if I was the one, like say in your situation, right? Like, I believe that I don't want to tell everything, but if I had somebody standing next to me, letting me know, if you don't say something, you're going to end up in jail.
Right.
Do you want to go, or do you want them to go? Right. And sometimes that's hard to hear, especially in those really emotional spaces.
Right.
But I believe that's what advocates are for, right? Because they can tell you in a way that is comforting or soothing, and knowing just yours. Like, this is a huge conversation. Like, I feel like this is so important for people to understand that if you are the victim, you need to have a voice, right? You need to speak up. And that just gave me chills. But I feel like we just don't have enough people in this world that are using their voices as they need to, because they have been the victims. And at that moment, they believe that that person that they loved for so long is going to change. But in your case, like, this happens way too often, and it shouldn't happen, right? We need to be protecting the victims, not making them the perpetrator or the aggressor. And how do we prove these things? I also know in ways of other friends that, like kid situation, that the perpetrator actually got custody of the children and almost killed said person. However, this person is fighting for their kids, and because the perpetrator has a really good lawyer and they lie really, really well, this person has to put up with all that trauma and all of the things that they were put through because the justice system is not fair. But that's a whole nother soapbox for another day. But
that is
it's just so frustrating when I hear these, and there have been so many instances, and I'm going to call you out, Colorado, because Colorado is notorious for giving custody to the abusers, which is BS. And it also is creating this cycle of people getting away with things that they shouldn't. And there have been multiple times that I have heard of that the victim has said to the courts, this perpetrator is going to kill our child, and it happens. And so I think that we need to start listening. We need to start having these conversations, and it's so important to know that you have a voice, right? And I love that you are using your voice. I'm definitely going to get you on some other shows because I know this was the first one, so I hope that it hasn't been too bad. But I love that you're starting to share your voice and you're starting to share your experience, because I would have never imagined in a million years, had I been in that situation, that I would have been the one that went to jail, or that you would have, right? So I think that people need to hear that you can, that it can definitely turn on you, and that you're creating this amazing resource hub. So please make sure you reach out. It's Guided Steps Resources at gmail.com. And then if people want to follow your story, what you're doing, is there a space that they can do that?
I have not created the space yet.
That's okay.
I will. When I will get back with you, Kelly. Okay.
Yes.
I will. I promise. It's coming, y'all. It's coming. It's just taking a lot out of me right now. But it has to be done, right? It has to be done, because as much as I take out of me, it gives me back at the end of it.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, this was an amazing conversation, and I appreciate you just being vulnerable. And I know sometimes I ask some harder questions, but I think that it's just an important part of how we show up and how we can share with people our experiences so that they don't feel so alone if they happen to unfortunately go through a similar situation. So make sure that if you want to share your experience, again, reach out to Guided Steps with an S, resources with an S, at gmail.com, and share what you need. Like if you've been in these situations or a similar situation, or intimate partner violence, domestic violence, what are the things that you needed that you didn't have access to? And make sure that you speak up. Like if I can give you anything from this conversation, is speak up. You have a voice. Your voice is valuable and worthy, and you don't want to end up being the perpetrator or labeled as the perpetrator, as the victim. And I know that we can all in ways get so emotional that we step into being the abuser or the perpetrator, but really like you're fighting back against somebody that has done it for an extended period of time, and most likely they're not going to tell the truth. So now is the time to share your side of the story and make sure that you speak that to anybody that'll listen. So thank you so much for being here. No matter what you do, make sure you come back next week. I go live every single Monday at 5 p.m. on E360 TV, or you can listen on Dream Vision 7 Radio at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Mountain Denver time. No matter what, just come back, because I have another amazing guest. See you next time. Bye, y'all.